It was an emotional ceremony as 2 more names of Torrance soldiers were added to the Veterans Memorial, Micah Gifford and Joseph Anzac Jr., who died in combat in Iraq.
Today we honor 2 men who had the wisdom to see that something else is more important than fear, a noble cause, our freedom.
And I can also guarantee that Micah would have done anything for those soldiers. But that is what leaders and heroes do. They put others first.
It was a difficult day for many, including South High football coach Josh Waybright, who coached both men in different football seasons.
When both of these young men passed, I had some tough time for a long time. I still have tough times with it.
This South High football season is dedicated to the men whose jersey numbers were retired. The team still feels the loss left by the deaths.
You could see it in their eyes. You know, they were definitely affected. The kids still wear Joe's dog tags, the replicas that I have. You still see the kids wearing that around. 52 and 65 are both painted on the back of our stadium in big writing. So it's kind of hard not to forget, and we don't want to forget. And that's the big thing. That's the big reason for this tonight. We don't want to forget those 2.
Families of Corporal Joseph Anzac Jr. and Corporal Micah Gifford watched the engraving and recalled the lives of the soldiers.
His faith was great, and he wasn't afraid to die, and he wasn't afraid to live, and so he made a wonderful soldier.
There must have been 50 people say he was my best friend, and he just had a magnetic personality, and you wanted to be with him, you wanted to hang with him, you wanted to follow him. I wanted to follow him. He was a great leader.
Teresa Anzac, mother of Joseph Anzac Jr., said it was the support of the community that helps them not only with the loss of their child, but also with the strong media reaction surrounding his death.
Well, the community certainly came to our side. It made things easier because, all the prayers were certainly felt. And, our lives are blessed, although we've lost our children, our hearts are broken.
As taps played through the crowd, Anzac and Gifford's names joined the names of Torrance heroes from World War I to today. Micah's father said the best way to honor the soldiers' sacrifice now is by supporting the troops still fighting the war.
There are a lot of guys in that same place right now, and they're not feeling our love. They need to feel the love of our people. The love we felt today at this memorial was great.
And today we affirm the scripture that says, "No greater love than this, than to give your life for a friend."
We're here in Torrance today on Memorial Day, and we are so appreciative of the service that men and women are doing throughout the world, so that we are able to be here to assemble to honor our fallen men and women. We know how hard it is in the middle of the night to do sentry duty and to protect us for our freedoms that we are so easily forgotten. Your service, but we want you to know from the City of Torrance, we truly appreciate everything you do and every moment you sacrifice for being there away from your loved ones. So thank you.
Right now, I'd like to ask you to rise, please, and join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is above us. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We gather here today to honor the men and women of the City of Torrance who gave their lives in service of their country during war. In our audience today, we have elected officials, city employees, researchers, veterans, and family members of some of the men on the names of this wall. I want to thank you all for coming. This ceremony for the 146 names on the wall, men who died in armed conflicts from World War I to Iraq and Afghanistan. Your presence here today respects these men and shows your deep appreciation for those who served, and gave their all for their country and our freedom. Today is a Torrance Centennial event, and it's also an event that tells a little bit about the Torrance Historical Society's project, Names on the Wall. Several years ago, we embarked on this project to put a face and a story behind every one of these names. To date, we have the biographies of about half these names complete. Several in the audience here are researchers already, and I want to thank you for your work. In the inside of your program book, you'll see a description and some details about this project. But the person most responsible for initiating this project and the inspiration is a longtime Historical Society member, our historian, and whom I'd like to introduce right now, Jerry Ronan.
Good afternoon. Today is a day of recollection, a day to renew the prayer that we will add no more names. Now, for the heart of our program, the reading of the names. We have a distinguished group to do that. Jim Garrity, Gene Hassan, Ken Miller, Paul Nowatka, Dave Pearson, Charlie Salinas, and Jim Standifer.
Hi, I'm Jim Garrity, and I'm honored to be here today and given the great assignment to read the names of those who gave up their lives for us. Luis Alvarez, Joseph Anzac Jr., Bernard Bailey, Olin Barkdahl, Rudolph Baranek, Rudolph Bernasconi, Arnold Bleiferneck, Ralph Brightfield, Kenneth Brooks, Clint Brown, Claude Bruce, Gary Brune, Bryson Burkholder, James Byrne, Archie Caraway, Paul Carter, Michael Carter, Thomas Carter, Dario Chavez, Ernest Coburn.
Hello, I'm Jean Hassan. George Colburn, Morrison Cotner, Donald Craw, Douglas Crawford, Ricardo Crocker, Bert Crossland, Raymond Cruz, Leon Culverhouse, Dan Cunningham, James Daniel, Francis Dietlin, Thomas Dilcrest, Michael Dixon, Robert Dodson, Miguel Duarte, Bobby Edwards, Charles Eisenacher, Edward Ernst, George Escobar, Anthony Everhill, Matthew Ferrana.
Thank you very much for being here. It's really a great honor. First name, John Fest Jr. Nestor Flores, John Foley, John Foster, Perry Franklin, Mikot Gifford, Stephen Grant, Jose Gutierrez, Chelsea Hamilton, Robert Hatter, Isaac Heath, James Hurlick, Alan Hill, John Hill, George Isbell, Jesse Johnson, Frank Jones, Herman Jones.
James Juge, Mark Juge, Terrence Candler, Michael Cassell, Bryce Kendrick, William Kirkpatrick, Lupe Laura, Stephen Lewis, Anthony Lugo, Louis Midori, Eugene Markwell, Thomas Martin, Wallace Matayoshi, Danny McMinn, Reuben Merkel, James Mitchell, Garland Moody, Joseph Mullen, Larry Munoz, Forrest Muchuk, John Nestor.
James Newton, Robert Noble, William Nunn, Richard O'Brien, Vladimir Obadine, Arthur Parker, Raymond Pennington, Milo Plunkett, Theron Price, Thomas Price, James Proughton, Gary Purcell, Fred Quaglin, Floyd Ramsey, Paul Ratliff, John Reynolds, Robert Richardson, Everett Richart, Larry Robillard, Tony Roomsberg, Paul Sanders.
Good afternoon. My name is Charlie Salinas. I served in Vietnam from 1967 to 1969. Warren Sapp. Clarence Scheibler. William Schoolcroft. Robert Cyril, Eugene Shanner, Akira Samatsu, Gregory Simonian, William Sleeth, Addison Smith, Christopher Smith, Edgar Smith, Francis Snee, Robert Stanbook, Alex Stewart, William Stewart, Gregory Stone, Eugene Stryker, Rodney Strobridge, Osamu Tamora, Ted Tanaway, Yuki Wu Tanaway,
I'm Jim Standifer. William Torrance, Richard Thayer, Royce Tidwell, Frederick Tiffany, Kenneth Tudor, Leonard Voorhees, George Walker, Ronald Wambaugh, Richard Washer, Earl Watson, Frank Weber, Norman Wenzel, Walter West, Theodore Weymouth, Ivan Wilcox, Larry Williams, Thomas Williams, Walter Wissell, Brian Wood, Charles Works, and Thomas Wright.
Project we have is attempting to put a face on each one of the names on the wall behind us. These people gave and gave, and our idea is that we should have some kind of a story on each one of them. What we want to do is put a story for each name. We welcome any kind of little story, information that people can give us based on their knowledge and their acquaintance and their time with these individuals. It may be a very small thing, but it adds to the story. Remember, these people, for the most part, died very young. So it may be a story from high school days. It may have something to do with scouting. It may be a funny story. There may be a snapshot of trick-or-treat kids. These things would all be nice to have.